Before Rome became the master of the Mediterranean, another power held sway, a city of legendary wealth and maritime genius. This is the story of Carthage, the empire built on trade, the rival that shook Rome to its core, and a civilization whose echoes still resonate from the shores of North Africa. This isn't just a tale of war, but of a lost world that almost defined the future of Western civilization. Let's orient ourselves. Here on the coast of modern-day Tunisia, a peninsula juts into the sea, a perfect strategic point controlling the narrowest passage of the Mediterranean. This was the heart of the Carthaginian world. From this single city, a web of trade routes spread out, connecting the silver mines of Spain, the tin of Britain, and the gold of West Africa. Carthage wasn't just a city, it was the central hub of an immense commercial network. According to legend, the city was founded in the 9th century BCE by Queen Dido, a Phoenician royal fleeing from her murderous brother in the city of Tyre. She and her followers brought with them centuries of seafaring knowledge. They weren't conquerors at first, but shrewd merchants. They established trading posts across the Mediterranean, from Sicily and Sardinia to the coasts of Spain. Carthage grew rich by controlling the flow of goods, metals, textiles, wine, olive oil, and ivory. Their wealth became legendary, funding a city of stunning architecture and immense power, all built without a large standing army. Their strength was their navy and their coin. The crown jewel of Carthage was its harbor, a marvel of ancient engineering known as the Kothon. It was actually two interconnected ports. The outer rectangular harbor was for merchant ships, a bustling commercial zone where goods from across the known world were loaded and unloaded. But hidden behind it, accessible only by a narrow, defensible channel, was the circular inner harbor. This was the military port, a secret naval base capable of holding over 200 warships. In the center was an island with the admiral's headquarters, giving him a complete view of his entire fleet. This naval supremacy allowed Carthage to protect its trade routes and enforce its monopoly on the seas for centuries. But as Carthage's influence spread west, it was bound to collide with another rising power in the Italian peninsula, Rome. Initially, the two powers coexisted, even signing treaties to define their spheres of influence. But their ambitions were too big for one sea. Conflict became inevitable, centered on the strategic island of Sicily. This ignited the First Punic War, a brutal 23-year naval struggle. Rome, a land power, had to learn how to build and command a fleet from scratch, famously reverse engineering a captured Carthaginian ship. In the end, Rome's relentless determination won out, and Carthage lost Sicily, its first major territorial defeat. The peace was fragile. Resentment simmered in Carthage, and a new leader emerged from its most powerful family, a man raised to hate Rome, Hannibal Barca. To compensate for the loss of Sicily, Carthage expanded its territory in Spain, gaining new resources and manpower. It was from here that Hannibal launched one of the most audacious military campaigns in history. He decided to take the fight directly to Rome, not by sea but by land. In 218 BCE, he led his army, including his famous war elephants, on an epic march out of Spain through Gaul and across the treacherous snow-covered Alps into Italy itself. Hannibal was a strategic genius. For over a decade, he rampaged through Italy, inflicting one humiliating defeat after another on the Romans. At the Battle of Cannae, he executed a perfect double envelopment, annihilating a Roman army twice the size of his own. Rome was in a panic, its very existence threatened. But the Romans were resilient. They adopted a new strategy of avoiding direct battle with Hannibal, while slowly reconquering the Italian cities that had defected to him. A brilliant Roman general, Scipio, took the war to Carthaginian territory in Spain and then Africa, forcing Hannibal to return home to defend his city. The final showdown came at the Battle of Zama, where Scipio, having studied Hannibal's tactics, finally defeated him. The Second Punic War was over. Carthage was stripped of its empire, its fleet, and its wealth. Decades passed. Carthage was a shadow of its former self, a disarmed client state of Rome. Yet its commercial spirit endured. The city began to recover economically, its fertile lands once again producing a surplus. This revival, however small, made some in Rome nervous. The influential senator Cato the Elder famously ended every speech, no matter the topic, with the same chilling phrase, Carthago delenda est, Carthage must be destroyed. Fueled by paranoia and a lingering desire for revenge, Rome issued an impossible ultimatum: abandon your city and move inland. The Carthaginians, with nothing left to lose, chose to fight. The Third Punic War was not a war, but a siege. For 3 years the city held out, but the outcome was never in doubt. In 146 BCE, Roman legions breached the walls. What followed was the complete and utter destruction of the city. Carthage was burned to the ground, its land supposedly sown with salt to ensure nothing would ever grow there again. For a century, the site of Carthage lay in ruins, a cursed and forbidden place. But the location was simply too valuable to ignore. The Romans themselves, under Julius Caesar and later Augustus, decided to rebuild the city. A new Roman Carthage rose from the ashes of the old. It quickly became one of the most important cities in the Roman Empire, a major center for grain production, trade, and culture in North Africa. It was a thoroughly Roman city, with a forum, amphitheater, and grand aqueducts. Ironically, Roman Carthage grew to be a larger and more populous city than Punic Carthage ever was, becoming a beacon of Roman civilization for the next 500 years. So what is the legacy of Carthage? We see it in the spread of the Phoenician alphabet, the ancestor of our own. We see it in the advanced maritime and agricultural techniques that the Romans themselves adopted. Hannibal's strategies are still studied in military academies today, but perhaps Carthage's greatest legacy is the world it almost created. If Hannibal had won, the dominant language of Europe might be Punic, not a Latin derivative. Our laws, religion, and culture would be profoundly different. Carthage reminds us that history is not a straight line. It is a series of turning points, of moments where the future hangs in the balance. Though its stones may lie in ruins, the ghost of Carthage forces us to ask, what if? Thank you for joining me on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed this look at a lost civilization, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories from history. See you next time.